Hey, good people, how you doing? Welcome back to 254 Rugby. This is episode 45 of your go-to source for Kenyan international rugby news, analysis, and insight. My name is Michael Kwambo, and today we are diving into an action-packed episode covering the Christie Sevens, our teams of the tournament, the opening round of the Rugby Championship, a weekend that delivered drama, brilliance, and lessons for teams in the Rugby Championship. But first, let's start with the Christie Sevens. Look at it this way. It once again lived up to its billing as one of the most exciting stops on the National Sevens circuit. 2 days of thrilling rugby at the RFUA grounds concluded with KCB lifting the cup title with a 19-5 win over the Menengai Oilers. Let's look at it from day one and how things went down. Day one was all about setting the tone. The Menengai Oilers announced themselves with authority, going unbeaten in Pool C. Their standout performance obviously coming against their siblings, their bigger siblings, Cabras Sugar. They won that game 5-0, courtesy of Dan Chirchir's solitary try. KCB, as always, they were flawless in their pool matches, putting away Nondis and Black Blood comfortably before surviving a challenge from Mwamba. Other notable performances included the Strathmore Leos, who impressed with 3 straight wins in their pool, including that thrilling 26-22 victory over host Kenya Harlequin. Let's also talk about the Catholic Monks. They topped Pool B with 2 wins and a dramatic draw against Nakuru RFC, signaling their growing presence on the National Sevens circuit. Well, they've always been a problem team over the years and just living up to that billing. Now let's get into day 2 action, and obviously the stakes were high with knockout rugby. In the cup quarterfinals, Menengai Oilers are powering past the oldest existing rugby club in Kenya, Nondescript RFC, winning that game by 26 points to 10. KCB were ruthless in shutting out the Daystar Falcons 27 points to 0, while Quins won another installment of the Ngong Road Derby, defeating their neighbors and bitter rivals Impala 17-10. Let's go to the semi-finals, and we did see KCB edging the host Kenya Harlequins by 21 points to 19. Now, that game was interesting because KCB were actually leading by 21 points to 5 before Quins scored 2 converted tries and, just running out of time as the game ended 21-19 to the Bankers. The other semi-final was between the Menengai Oilers, looking to play in their first cup final of the National Sevens circuit in 2025. You see, the opening round in Mombasa saw KCB defeat the Strathmore Leos 15-14, and then the second round in Nakuru 2 weeks ago saw the Leos turn the tables on KCB, claiming the 26-5 cup final win over the Bankers. And obviously, KCB already into their 3rd straight final of the season. The Strathmore Leos were also looking to make it 3 from 3, but the Menengai Oilers had other ideas, claiming that result 24 points to 19, courtesy of Calvin Mulewa's last gasp try, setting up that final between the Bankers and the Oilers. Now, let's get into the finals. And as we do that, just going to pull up a clip from that final fixture. The footage is courtesy of Kenya Harlequin. And here we go.
Let's see how Oilers take this one on.
Whoever scores first will get a chance to offload. Wabure cuts back in and goes all the way to the center post after a long spell of possession. KCB Bankers finally split the Oilers open. No pressure on that one. They get it, ball into hand, swing it out to the right. Wabure parking on the center field, taxing the ball and looks to go out wide. Shiasi just recovers the ball quick, picking and goes round the fringes of that track, and KCB hitting quick fire tries here.
Bildad Ogeta has to stay, he has to hold. Look at that tackle, has to come from Bildad, and that leaves an opportunity on the outside. If a Bildad offloaded, that would have been an easy try at the end, but still score. But I think this is a really good tactical adjustment by Dennis Mwanja here from KCB. Goal there, but referee gives the benefit of the doubt.
Oh, it's a foot race here. Floyd opening his jet boots, going all the way. He might score this one. He does score it, and KCB adding 5 more. Thumbs up from the in-goal referee. Cover sweeper immediately after that set piece. And just goes it. Just survives by the fingertips.
Oh,
wow.
Again.
Heads up rugby.
Heads up rugby, the short side. I did say whether Toile we will see a lot of this in Kenya. But Onyala was good enough to defend that one. As the sky is open here.
Bob Muhati coming into that rack and not aware that he needed to man that blind side, the shorter side.
Yeah, well, that was the footage, part of the footage from the cup final between KCB and the Menengai Oilers. Obviously, as you saw there, KCB outscoring the Oilers by 3 tries to 1. Floyd Wabwire putting in a player of the final performance, scoring 2 tries. The other try coming from Festus Shiasi. Brian Wahinya with 2 conversions for the Bankers, while Sam Ovwamu scored the solitary try for the Menengai Oilers. What happens with KCB's win? It sees them move clear on top of the National Sevens Circuit standings. Just going to pull those up in a second. And, you know, there is a bit of daylight between them now and the rest of the chasing pack. Here we go. The standings here on our screens, courtesy of Fanaka Studios. As you can see, KCB, they are now 5 points clear of the Strathmore Leos in second place. Menengai Oilers are third on 47 points. Kenya Harlequin fourth on 39 points. They are the defending National Sevens Circuit champions. Kabra Sugar are fifth on 35 points, the same as the Catholic Monks, while Nakuru RFC on 33 points. Nondescript Impala and Daystar Falcons rounding up the top 10 on 27 and 23 points respectively. Mwamba, former champions of the National Sevens Circuit in years gone by, are in 11th place on 18 points. Masinda Muliro University of Science and Technology having a rather lukewarm season. They are 12th on 16 points. The Z-Tech Oaks are 13th on 10 points, while Kabete Stallions on 9 points, Kenyatta University Black Blood on 5 points, and Mombasa Sports Club also on 5 points, rounding off the top 16 in the National Sevens Circuit. And what can we say about KCB's win? Yes, they are clear of the chasing pack and they are sending a message. If not, they have sent that message to the chasing pack that consistency and efficiency, not a good day, wins titles. They have won 2 of the 3 rounds played so far, and it's quite interesting because we're bang in the middle at the halfway point. There will be the Embu Sevens coming up this coming weekend in Embu, the first time that the National Sevens Circuit is heading to that part of Kenya. But before we continue, there is the team of the tournament. This is our team of the tournament. We are calling it 254's finest, as selected by our roving reporter on the ground. And just be pulling up the image with the names and reading them out loud. Obviously, there are differing opinions on the dream teams, but you know, they say to each his own, I guess. And this particular point, well, can't seem to be able to pull it up, and therefore we'll just read it for you. The team of the tournament in the men's competition: Vincent Onyala from KCB Rugby, Barnabas Owar from the Strathmore Leos, Gabriel Ayimba from the Strathmore Leos, Samuel Asati from KCB Rugby, Samuel Moura from the Menengai Oilers, Dan Kipchirchir from the Menengai Oilers, and Floyd Wabwire from KCB Rugby. Now, let's look at the women's competition, and it was equally compelling. Mwamba recording the second victory on the National Sevens circuit. Remember, they had earlier won the Prince Louis Sevens, the opening round of the women's competition in Nakuru. Took place on the 2nd and 3rd of August. They showed up again this time, and it was a repeat final. Remember, in Nakuru, they defeated Kenya Harlequin by 15 points to 10. This time it was 10 points to 0. And Mwamba's dominance, for me, signals that they are well on track to defend their National Sevens circuit overall crown. I think there's little to suggest that they will be stopped at the Kabeberi Sevens in early September. And, you know, we were unable to bring you the men's team, the graphic with the men's team of the tournament, but we will bring you the graphic with the women's team of the tournament. Here we go. Well, that was also an opportunity for me to just stretch my legs briefly. And there is the women's team of the tournament from the Christie Sevens, Diana Mideva from the Northern Suburbs, Naito Toma from Impala, Maureen Chebet from Mwamba, Edith Nariaka from Mwamba, Snyder Nyachio Mwamba, Faith Livoy Mwamba, and Maxine Abuga from the hosts, Kenya Harlequins. Those are the 7 players who made 254's finest, according to our roving reporter on the ground. Now, remember we said we're still going to talk about the Embu Sevens, and this is because the pools have been confirmed for the Embu Sevens. This is the 4th round of the National Sevens circuit in 2025. And obviously KCB, the series leaders at the halfway point, are the top seeds, and they are in Pool A. Here we go with the pooling for Embu. KCB Rugby headline Pool A, where they are with Daystar Falcons, Mwamba RFC, and Embu RFC. Pool B has the Strathmore Leos second on the log. They are joined by Impala RFC, Cabra Sugar, and the Kabete Stallions. Pool C has the Menengai Oilers, Nondescripts, Nakuru RFC, and Mean Machine. Pool D has Kenya Harlequin, the Catholic Monks, Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology, and the ZTech Oaks, who, have been decent performers whenever they have had the opportunity to play in the Division 1 competition on the National Sevens circuit. Now, beyond the rugby, the Christie Sevens left us with some big lessons off the pitch, of course. The biggest talking point was streaming. You see, unlike the Driftwood and Prince Louis Sevens, which had free streams courtesy of the titled sponsor, SportPesa, Christie Sevens went with a paywall, 175 bob a day, 175 Kenya shillings a day, or 300 shillings for the weekend. Of course, there were murmurs here and there from fans complaining about poor quality of the stream and accessibility. Quins had to step in mid-tournament, scrap the charges and make it free. Add to that, I'm not really too big on talking about the after parties, but anyway, we'll talk about it because this is a sentiment that has been shared. The after party ended at 8 p.m. despite ticket prices ranging from 650 Kenya shillings to 3,000 shillings. And you can see why fans feel shortchanged. The clear lesson, I guess, is that you can't compromise fan experience in the name of monetization. On the flip side, there were positives. I mean, we have to give it to Quins. Ticketing was smooth, something that's not always a given in Kenyan rugby, in Kenyan sport even. The kids section had a fantastic touch, creating a safe and fun space that really speaks to rugby's growth as a family sport. That is an idea worth expanding, worth imitating, and to the remaining hosts of the National Sevens circuit in Embu, in Kisumu, and in Nairobi once again with the Kabeberry Sevens. Over to you on that one. One area, though, that is still lagging is the Division 2 tournaments, the subsidiary tournaments. Year after year, these teams remain in the shadows with little coverage or visibility. Granted, the National Sevens circuit is about the top tier teams, but since there is an umbrella competition, why not give it not necessarily the same kind of treatment, but treatment that is almost as good in terms of organization, coverage, visibility. If we are serious about development, I think the Division 2 competitions at the National Sevens circuit need better organization and recognition, or better still, if it's too much work to host the Division 2 competitions concurrently with the top tier competitions on the National Sevens circuit, why don't you just have a separate national Sevens circuit second tier competition with the overall winner qualifying for the National Sevens circuit top tier competition? I think that way you'll be able to give it the attention, the coverage, and also improve on the quality both of play and things such as officiating, playing fields, and so on and so forth. So the long and short is that Division 2 needs better organization and recognition. So while the Christie Sevens delivered great rugby, served up great moments, I mean, it also gave us a reminder that the circuit has to get the balance right between the fans, family, and grassroots. Now, Embu Sevens is around the corner, and the hope is these lessons will be put into practice. End of my virtuous speech. Now, let's go across the seas and talk about what happened this past weekend. There was the opening round of the Rugby Championship. Well, that global competition that features the Southern Hemisphere's finest sides. New Zealand, South Africa, the world champions, Australia, and Argentina. Oh, wow. Now, how do we get this going on? This is how we'll get it going on. These are the results from round one of the Rugby Championship. And there were interesting results, if you ask me. Let's start with that result in, in Johannesburg, where the world champions, South Africa, the Springboks, lost to Australia by 38 points to 22. We're going to talk about how dramatic that match was. And then there was the second match between Argentina, the Los Pumas, and the All Blacks. That game ending 41-24 to New Zealand. Now, let's get talking, and let's start with the Argentina versus, well, not the Argentina, but the Australia versus South Africa fixture. And what a game it was. You know, Australia have really not been in the best of, what can I say? They've not been in the best of form over the past few years, but they gave a decent display in their tests against the British Lions. And as they headed down to South Africa, to Johannesburg, they obviously looked like the underdogs against South Africa. And tell you what, they stormed from 22 points down, literally trailing by 22 points to 0, to score 38 unanswered points en route to a 38-22 win over their hosts, who were also the world champion, South Africa. Now, this was Australia's first win over South Africa in over a decade, and it was their first win at Ellis Park since 1963. That's way beyond the professional era. Let's break down the match as best as we possibly can. The first 20 minutes were brutal watching that game, and South Africa were ruthless. You know, they dominated, particularly in the air, and they punished mistakes. Grant Williams' box kicks were surgical. Bok chasers Arendse, Van der Mauer, and Etzebeth, they hunted like predators. You can't take that away. Tom writes early era, gifted territory, and the Boks were capitalizing on all those opportunities. By the 18th minute of the match, Esterhuizen, Kolisi, and Arendse had scored. The momentum was firmly with South Africa. But this is it. The South Africans took to playing expansive rugby, and expansive rugby carries a risk. Tony Brown's blueprint, we all remember Tony Brown from the All Blacks. Um, his blueprint encourages width, stretching the Wallaby defense. It was initially effective, but once Australia adjusted, the cracks appeared. And this, what can I say? The cracks appeared. The game shifted, and there was this guy who was really pivotal for Australia, Fraser McReight. 4 penalties, 2 turnovers, 20 tackles. He disrupted South Africa's ball, and he gave Australia a platform to attack. Harry Wilson's captain's innings, charging through defenders and scoring twice. He provided leadership in action. Then the veteran, James O'Connor. Man, he controls the midfield while Joseph Shuali, slicing through with pace and vision. He capped a performance of genuine test star quality. Look at it. Australia's avalanche of 6 tries. It was a statement. Wright, Jorgensen, Wilson with 2, Peach, and Shuali. I mean, South Africa, they went from structured dominance to errors and miscommunication. Rasmus, the eccentric South Africa head coach, actually just called his team a piece of rat shit. Pardon my French. I think this was a pointer on the South African side of how quickly ambition without balance can be punished at the highest levels. What are my takeaways from that game? Australia, on their part, this was a team asserting its identity. They were disciplined at the breakdown. They were ruthless in transition. They were clinical in attack. Joe Smith's system is showing consistency under pressure, and the Wallabies have a blueprint for the second test against the South Africans in Cape Town. But reading press reports, they say that they are expecting a punch in the face, and they're also riddled by injuries. But kudos to Australia on the day, keeping the noisy South African fans quiet. 38-22, the full-time score. Now, the second game took place in Córdoba, Argentina. New Zealand with the flattering 41-24 win over Argentina. First half was frenetic for New Zealand. They raced to a 31-10 lead at halftime. Argentina improved in the second half. Thomas Albornoz sparkled, creating and scoring. Joaquin Oviedo added a try. I think what turned the game around, because the Argentines came to within 7 points of New Zealand, the score 31-24. New Zealand's bench, in my opinion, particularly Samisoni Taukeaho's brace, extinguished any momentum. I think for the All Blacks, yes, they were paramount at the scrum. They dominated. Their breakdown efficiency and defensive organization were good. Their tackle completion rate of 89% frustrated Argentina's attack. But there was also a lot of unforced errors from the All Blacks. And even though they have returned to the top of the world rugby rankings for the first time in 4 years, I think there is a lot to look forward to from them as they continue their campaign in the Rugby Championship. A lot of work for Scott Robertson to do. Oh, discipline. It swings games. Why do I say that? Because Argentina's early yellow card to Vivas in the 17th minute was decisive. Because up to that point, it was a contest. But once he was off, the All Blacks were able to capitalize and really pump in the points against the Argentines. I think for the Argentines as well, there's a lot of clarity from their halfbacks under pressure. Albornoz excelled. Gonzalo Garcia struggled. What can I say? There is the importance of composure and precision in key decision-making positions. Bench impact. I think New Zealand's depth allowed them to maintain their tempo, secure the points, and shut down the late threats. That is a hallmark of championship teams. And I think for them, the ultimate prize is the Rugby World Cup in 2027. Scott Robertson had a difficult, in my opinion, first year in the job in charge of the All Blacks, and will be looking to build on something heading into 2027. Remember, he's a serial Super Rugby winner before taking on this job. But this is a different kettle of fish. And I mean, we're just talking after one game. The Rugby Championship, well, opening round was exciting. It was worth taking time to watch. And with the matches continuing this weekend in Buenos Aires and in Cape Town, we definitely will be keeping an eye on those and talking about them in subsequent editions of 254 Rugby. Hey, we're coming to a close of episode 45 of 254 Rugby. What can I say? This weekend, particularly on the domestic front, offered lessons. Let's look at it from the National Sevens Circuit point of view. KCB continue to set the benchmark in the National Sevens Circuit, and I think that the round in Embu, round 4, will be the turning point in terms of when the title is going to be decided. Will it be decided in round 5 at the Kabeberi Sevens, or will it be decided at the final round in Kisumu in mid-September? And then globally, Australia, really upsetting the apple cart and getting people talking and showing that there have been pushovers for a number of years, but definitely back there ready to compete with their peers in the Rugby Championship and beyond. I think for Argentina, not for Argentina, but for South Africa, they abandoned the core principles that have made them unplayable in recent years. And I'm sure they've learned that lesson and will be looking to go back and give a solid response to Australia. As for the All Blacks, well, they reaffirmed that the fundamentals win matches at this level, and they will be just looking to get their fundamentals right as the competition continues and the test window also continues. Tell you what, folks, that's it for episode 45 of 254 Rugby. Thank you so much for being with us. And yeah, that's been episode 45 of 254 Rugby. And as we sign off, a bit distracted there, remember to like, subscribe, and share. And, give us your feedback, give us your analysis, drop your thoughts in the comments or in social media. And also, we've got a website, 254rugby.com, where you can get more news from Kenya, the region of Eastern Africa, and around the world. Until next time, keep loving the game. My name is Michael Kwambo, signing out. Thank you so much for watching. Special thanks to our partners, La Villa Fitness, for making this episode of 254 Rugby possible. Catch you next time.